India's agricultural product export growth was the highest in the world in a decade. With every passing year, India is steadily increasing its contribution to world food trade. With the onset of Digital India, Indian food trade is poised for huge growth and profits. As the agricultural produce travels from a farm to the consumer's plate, different stakeholders play key roles across multiple processes. A typical agricultural supply chain involves complex interconnected processes between various stakeholders such as the producer, inspection and insurance companies, logistics and shipping agencies, banks, manufacturer and importer before it reaches a consumer sitting in another corner of the globe. However, in this long process, there are quite a few challenges. Importers find it difficult to track provenance to understand the place of origin and quality of the imported produce. As the produce moves between multiple stakeholders, the ownership or custodian information becomes difficult to trace. Centralized bodies, especially private agencies that certify crop produce, may not be trusted by international importers. Information flow between stakeholders is sequential, leading to potential delays in downstream decision-making. Overall, stakeholders lack transparency in this process and lose track of relevant transactions. So, how do we tackle these challenges? Introducing EdgeVerve Blockchain Framework, where all stakeholders can form a private network and gain transparency in every transaction using a distributed ledger. Any activity can be documented and stored in the distributed ledger only with consensus among all participating stakeholders, thus making the network more trustworthy than any individual entity. Untrusted stakeholders can transact amongst each other through smart contracts without the need for a centralized body. Every stakeholder will have their own copy of the same distributed ledger, which enables information access in near real time. In other words, the paper-intensive international trade finance process can be made simple with an electronic decentralized ledger connecting all points of the supply chain, easily identifying the place of origin, ingredients, and proof of ownership of the produce at any stage. Meet Raj Kishore from Uttar Pradesh, who specializes in mango cultivation. Every year, Raj sells a bulk of his mango produce to Mohan, who owns the Royal Pulp Factory in Uttar Pradesh. Mohan, in turn, receives an order to export mango pulp to Charles Becker, who owns Becker Packaged Foods in Germany. Raj Kishore will be onboarded to an easy-to-use mobile app where he adds the details of his land. Through this app, he will add details about his crops, request inspections, and get his produce insured at the right time. The contracts between Raj and Mohan, as well as between Mohan and Charles, are stored on the blockchain network as smart contracts. Each activity is verified by a minimum of 2 other stakeholders on the same network. With the onset of the harvest season, relevant stakeholders certify the produce with standard certificates. Once the mangoes are harvested, Raj generates the invoice and requests a pickup. The logistics company picks these mangoes up from Raj's farm and delivers it to Mohan's warehouse. The delivery receipt is updated and made available to all stakeholders on the network. Once Mohan accepts the consignment, the smart contract between Mohan and Raj is executed, and Mohan's bank will be notified to initiate an open account transfer to Raj Kishore's bank. The transaction details will then be updated on the blockchain network. Meanwhile, Mohan is busy making mango pulp to be delivered to Charles Becker. The pulp is inspected and certified as well. Mohan then issues an invoice to Charles. Charles tracks the provenance of the product entirely from where the mangoes were cultivated to the inspection and insurance details before accepting the invoice. Mohan then raises a shipment request with the shipping company. Once the bill of lading is uploaded by the shipping company, the smart contract between Mohan and Charles gets executed and Charles's bank initiates a payment to Mohan's bank. The transaction details are updated on the network. Thus, Charles sitting in Germany is able to remotely track the provenance of the mango pulp imported from India. Overall, EdgeVerve Blockchain Framework simplifies life for everyone in the supply chain. It ensures that all stakeholders gain transparency in every transaction through a trustworthy private network and increases the acceptance of Indian produce globally.